Hello, welcome back to those who are a part of this family and those who have joined the family to support and help in spreading the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ. May God bless you and your family with good health and long lives. May He grant mercy on you and your family and prevent you and your family from this deadly virus that is spreading like wildfire, disturbing physically, mentally, and spiritually all over the world. Let's all for a moment bow our heads and pray for those who have lost your life by this virus. May He grant them peace and mercy them as well as their family. He is a merciful and forgiving God who will do anything to save our soul from being astray. So it is in giving that we receive, it is in dying that we are born again and risen to life. So sacrifice has to be made to attain greater glory and recognition. Let's not forget that. And then one thing, I'm happy today knowing my fellow brothers and sisters are following up to my reading and is expecting 5 chapters a day, which shows your interest in what I'm reading. So thank you so much for actively accompanying me, and I'll try not to let you down. So here I am. I'll be reading 5 chapters from today onwards, and I will be uploading it every day without fail. So please do hit the notification bell and keep updated. So here I am listening. It's kind of better for me. So I am reading it for you so that you can just listen in your free time, in your bedtime, and just reflect on your spiritual life. So let's do this. Today I'll be reading Genesis from Genesis chapter 18. The Lord visits Abraham. The Lord appeared to Abraham near the oak of Mamre as he was sitting at the entrance of his tent in the heat of the day. He looked up and saw 3 men standing nearby. When he saw them, he ran from the entrance of the tent to meet them. He bowed to the ground and said, "Sirs, if I have found favor in your sight, do not pass your servant by. Let a little water be brought, wash your feet, and then rest under the trees. I shall fetch some bread so that you can be refreshed and continue on your way." "Since you have come to your servant," they then said, "do as you say." Abraham hurried into the tent to Sarah and said to her, "Quick, take 3 seahs, seahs, of fine flour, knead it, and make some bread." Abraham then ran to the herd, took a fine tender calf, gave it to servant who hurried to prepare it. He took butter and milk, and together with the calf he had prepared, laid it all before them. And while he remained standing in front of them under the tree, they ate. They then asked, "Where is Sarah, your wife?" Abraham answered, "She is in the tent." And the Lord said, "At this time next year, I will surely return to you, and Sarah by then will have a son." Now Sarah was behind him, listening at the entrance to the tent. Abraham and Sarah were old, well on in years, and Sarah no longer had her monthly periods. Sarah laughed to herself, saying, Now that I am old and my husband is an old man, am I to have this pleasure?" The Lord said to Abraham, Why did Sarah laugh, saying, "Am I really going to have a child now that I am old? Is there anything that is impossible for God?" At this time, at this same time next year, I will return, and Sarah by then will have a son. Sarah denied, saying, "I did not love," for she was afraid. But he said, "Oh, yes, you did love." Abraham pleads for Sodom. The man went from there and cast a glance down at Sodom. Abraham walked with them to set them on their way. And the Lord said, "Can I conceal from Abraham what I am about to do?" Abraham, in fact, is going to become a great and powerful nation, and through him, all the nations of the earth will be blessed. For I have chosen him to command his sons and his household after him, to keep the way of the Lord by doing what is right and just, so that the Lord can bring about the Abraham and what he had promised him. Then the Lord said, "How great is the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah, and how grievous is their sin! I am going down to see if they have done all that they are charged with in the outcry that has reached me. If it is not so, I will know." The man with him turned away and went toward Sodom. But the Lord remained standing before Abraham. Abraham went forward and said, "Will you really let the good perish with the wicked? Perhaps there are 50 good people in the town. Are you really going to let them perish? Would you not spare the place for the sake of the 50 good people? It would not be at all like you do such a thing, and you cannot let the good perish with the wicked, nor treat the good and the wicked alike. For be it from you, will not the judge of all the earth be just?" The Lord said, "If I find 50 good people in Sodom, I will spare the whole place for their sake." Abraham spoke up again. "I know that I am very bold to speak like this to my Lord. I who am I who am only dust and ashes, but perhaps the number of the good people is 5 less than 50. Will you destroy the town because of 5?" The Lord replied, "I will not destroy the town if I find 55 or 45 good people there." Again Abraham said to him, "Perhaps there will be only 40." He answered, "For the sake of the 40 I will not do it." Abraham went on saying, "May my Lord not be angry, but let me speak. Maybe only 30 good people will be found in the town." The Lord answered, "I will not destroy it if I find 30 there." Abraham said, "Now that I have been so bold as to speak to my Lord, if I am what if only 20 can be found?" He said, "For the sake of the 20 I will not destroy the place." But Abraham insisted, "May my Lord not be angry, but let me speak just once more. If only 10 can be found." And the Lord answered, "For the sake of the 10 people I will not destroy it." When the Lord had finished speaking with Abraham, he left, and Abraham went back home. Destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. When the two angels reached Sodom in the evening, Lot, it's the name of the person, Lot, was sitting at the gate of the town. As soon as he saw them, he rose to meet them, bowed with his face to the ground, and said, Sirs, I pray to you, come to your servant's house to stay the night. Wash your feet, and then in the morning you may rise early and go on your way. They said, No, we will spend the night in the square. But so strongly did he insist that they went with him to his house. There he prepared a meal for them, baking bread without yeast. This they ate. They had not yet gone to bed when men from the town surrounded the house. They were the men of Sodom, young and old, the entire population. Where are the men who arrived here tonight? Send them out so that we may have sex with them. Lot went out to meet them, shut the door behind him, and said, I beg you, my brothers, don't choose such a wicked thing. I have two daughters who are still virgins. Let me bring them out to you. You may do with them as you please, but do not do anything to this man, for they have come to shelter under my roof. But they replied, Get out of the way. This fellow is a foreigner, and he wants to play the judge. Now we will do worse with you than with them. They pressed hard against Lot and drew near in order to break the door. But the man inside the house stretched out from their hands to bring Lot inside, and then shut the door. As for those at the entrance of the house, they were struck with the blindness, from the smallest to the largest, so that they were unable to find the door. The two men said to Lot, Who is still here with you? Your sons, your daughters, and all your people in the town. Get them all out of the place. We are about to destroy this place. The cry for retribution against it is great before the Lord, who had sent us to destroy it. Lord, Lot went out and spoke to his sons in law, those who were to marry his daughters, saying, Hurry, leave, for the Lord is about to destroy the town. But they took what he said as a joke. At daybreak, the angel urged Lot, saying, Hurry, take your wife and your two daughters who are here, lest they perish because of the sin of the town. As he hesitated, the man took him by the hand, and his wife and his two daughters with him, because the Lord had mercy on him. And they led him outside the town and left him there. When they were outside, the man said to him, Flee for your life, and do not look back, and do not stop anywhere in the plain. Flee to the mountain, lest you perish. But Lot replied, No, sir, your servant has found favor with you, and you have shown me great kindness in saving my life. But I cannot flee to the mountains for fear the disaster will overtake me and I die. See, there is a town near enough for me to flee to, and it's a small one. Let me flee there. It is very small. That is why the town is called Zoar. So I will be safe. And the angel answered, I grant you this favor as well by not destroying the town you speak of. but flee fast, as I can do nothing until you arrive there. The sun had risen on the earth when Lot reached Zoar. Then the Lord rained on Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire from heaven, and he completely destroyed the town and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the towns and everything that grew there. Lot's wife looked back, and she became a pillar of salt. Early morning, Abraham returned to the place where he had stood before the Lord. He looked down towards Sodom and Gomorrah and towards all the land of the district, and he saw smoke rising from the earth like the smoke from a furnace. So when God destroyed the towns of the plain, he remembered Abraham and made Lot escape from the catastrophe while he destroyed the cities where Lot had lived. Origin of Moabites and Ammonites. Lot went up from Zoar and lived in the hills with his two daughters. Because he was afraid to live in Zoar, he lived in a cave, he and his two daughters. The elder said to the younger, "Our father is old, and there is not a man in the country to lie with us as is to as is the custom all over the world. Come, let us make our father drunk with wine. We shall lie with him and have the race survive through our father." So they made their father drunk, drink wine. That night the elder went to lie with her father. He knew nothing of it, neither when she lay with him, nor she left. The next day the elder daughter said to the younger, "Last night I lay with my father. Let us give him wine again tonight, and you go and lay with him. In this way we shall continue the race through our father." Again that night they got their father to drink wine. The younger went and lay with him. He was aware of nothing, neither when she lay with him nor when she left. Thus the two daughters of Lot became pregnant by their father. The elder gave birth to a son and named him Moab. He was the ancestor of Moabites who live today. The younger also gave birth to a son named him Benami. Benami. He is the ancestor of the Ammonites who exist to this day. So I'll be reading till I think 22, right? So Abraham and Abimelech, Genesis 20. Abraham proceeded to the territory of the Negev and lived between Kadesh and Sur, and he stayed for a time in Gerar. Abraham had said to his wife, "She is my sister," to Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent for Sarai and had her brought to him. But God came to Abimelech in a dream at night. He said to him, "You are to die because of this woman you have taken, for she is married. She is a married woman." But Abimelech had not gone near her, so he said, "My lord, are you going to kill innocent people as well? Did he not say to me, 'She is my wife'? And she said to me, 'He is my brother.' I acted with clear conscience and with innocent hands. God said to him in the dream, I know that you did that with clear conscience, and I prevented you from sinning against me. That is why I did not let you touch her. Now give the woman back to the man, for he is the prophet. He will pray for you, and you shall live. But if you do not give her back, know what you will surely die. Know that you will surely die. You and all yours will die. So Abimelech rose early in the morning and called all his officials and told them all these things. The officials were terrified. Abimelech then called Abraham and said to him, What have you done to us? In what way have I wronged you, for you to bring against me and my kingdom such a grave sin? You have done to me things that should not be done. And Abimelech said to Abraham, Why did you act as you did? Abraham said, I thought there is no fear of God at all in this place, and they will kill me because of my wife. Yet it is true that she is my sister, the daughter of my father, but not of my mother, and she became my wife. So when God made me wander far from my father's family, I said to her, Now if you love me, I beg you to say that I am your brother wherever we go. Abimelech then brought sheep and cattle, male and female, slaves, and gave them to Abraham. And he had Sarah return to her husband. And he told Abraham, See, here is my whole land, live wherever you please. And to Sarah he said, I am giving your brother 1,000 silver coins. It will be as a compensation for you, and an evidence for all those who are with you, so none of them will think ill of you. Then Abraham prayed to God, and God healed Abimelech, his wife, and his mates, so that they were able to have children again. For the Lord had made it impossible for Abimelech's wife and maid to have more children because of Abraham's wife Sarah. Birth of Isaac. The Lord was kind to Sarah as he had said and fulfilled his promise to her. Sarah became pregnant and bore a son to Abraham in his old age at the very time God had promised. Abraham gave the name Isaac to the son that Sarah bore him and circumcised him when he was 8 years old. As God had commanded, Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. Sarah said, God has brought me laughter, and everyone who hears of this will laugh with me. She added, Who would have ever told Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? Yet I have given birth to a son for him in his old age. Abraham dismisses Hagar. The child grew, and on the day Isaac was weaned, Abraham held a great feast. Sarah saw the child that Hagar the Egyptian had bore to Abram, playing with her son Isaac, and said to Abraham, Send this slave girl and her son away. The child of this slave must not share the inheritance with my son Isaac. This matter distressed Abraham because it concerned his son. But God said to him, "Do not be worried about the boy and your maidservant. Listen to Sarah and do whatever she says, because the race which is called by your name will spring from Isaac. But from the son of your maid servant I will also form a nation, for he too is your offspring." Abraham rose early next morning and gave bread and a ladder flask of water to Hagar. He put the child on her back and sent her away. She went off and wandered in the desert of Beersheba. When there was no more water in the skin, she pushed the boy under one of the bushes and then went and sat down about a bow shoot away, for she thought, "I cannot bear to see my son die." But as she sat there, the child began to wail. God heard him, and the angel of the God called Hagar from heaven and said, "What is the matter, Hagar? Do not be afraid. God has heard the boy crying. Get up, pick the boy up and hold him safely, for I will make him into a great nation." Go then open her eyes. God then opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. She went and filled the skin and gave the boy to drink. God was with the boy. He grew up and made his home in the wilderness and became an expert archer. He lived in the desert of Paran, and his mother chose a wife for him from the land of Egypt, the pack of Beersheba. At that time, Abimelech, Abimelech came with Pichol, the commander of his army, to speak to Abraham. "God is with you in everything you do. Now swear to me here before God that you will not deal falsely with me or my descendants, but instead you will show to me and to the country where you are living as an alien the same loyalty that I have shown to you." And Abraham said, "Yes, this I swear." Then Abraham complained to Abimelech about a well that Abimelech's servant had seized. Abimelech said, "I do not know who has done this. You did not tell me, and I only heard about it today." Abraham then took sheep and cattle and gave them to Abimelech, and the two men made a treaty. Abraham set aside 7 ewe lambs from the flock. Abimelech said to him, "Why have you set aside this 7 ewe lamb?" Abraham replied, "Accept these 7 lambs from my hand as evidence that I dug this well." So the place is called Beersheba, because the two men took a bath there. After making the treaty at Beersheba, Abimelech went away with Pichol, the commander of his army, and returned to the land of Palestine. Abraham planted a tamarisk tree at Beersheba, and there he called on the Lord, the everlasting God. And Abraham stayed in the land of the Palestine for a long time. The testing of Abraham, Genesis 22. Sometime later, God tested Abraham and said to him, "Abraham." He answered, "Here I am." Then God said, "Take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains I shall point out to you." Abraham rose early next morning and sandaled saddled is saddled saddled his donkey and took with him two of his young men and his son Isaac. He chopped wood for the burnt offering and set out for the place to which God had directed him. On the third day, Abraham looked up and saw the place in the distance, and he said to the young man, stay here with the donkey. The boy and I will go over there to worship, and then we will come back to you." Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering and laid it on Isaac his son. He carried in his hand the fire and knife. As the two of men went on together, Isaac spoke to his father Abraham, "Father." And Abraham replied, "Yes, my son." Isaac said, "The fire and the wood are here, but where is the lamb for the sacrifice?" Abraham replied, "God himself will provide the lamb for the sacrifice, my son." They went on, the two of them together, until they came to the place to which God had directed them. When Abraham had built the altar and set the wood on it, he bound his son Isaac and laid him on the wood placed on the altar. He then stretched out his hand to seize the knife and slay his son. But the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven, "Abraham, Abraham." He said, "Here I am. Do not lay your hand on the boy." The angel said, "Do not harm him, for now I know that you fear God, and you have not held back from me your son, your only son." Abraham looked up and saw a ram caught by its horns in a bush. He took the ram and offered it as a burnt offering in the place of his son. Abraham named the place "The Lord would provide," and the saying has lasted to this day. On that mountain the Lord will provide. On the mountain the Lord will provide. And the angel of the Lord called Abraham from heaven a second time